Okay, good evening all, and welcome to TFC Live episode 37. It's the Hellborn pre-raid roundup. Good evening, panel. How are we all? Admins?
Not too bad,
Doing
thanks.
well, you?
Okay, so good news. We have Stu on tonight. Okay, George on tonight. A big thumbs up there, obviously, from Brian as well. And we have Andrew tonight as well. Hi, mate.
All right, how's it going?
Good, all good. So Andrew's done the slides for us tonight, which is super news. Okay, and he is here to present them as well. So we can bring them straight up, Andrew, if you want, mate.
Oh, you need to select me.
Okie dokie, you're up, and I'll go present to everybody. How's that? Are we good? Right.
There we go.
So here we go. TFC episode 37, 8th of November 2016. Next slide. So slide pack contains, you can all read. I'll let you read that yourselves. And welcome all in chat, by the way. Okay, next slide. So here we go then. So here's the mission overview itself. So this is obviously the Stormrunner crew return to wreak havoc yet again on the Forensic Allies, face off against Reaver Armadas, okay, and to drive the Reavers, back to the dark side of the ocean, the dark side. Hark at that. Sounds a bit sort of like Darth Vader, doesn't it? We've got the timings then. We know it begins on the 10th and that sort of stuff. And World Alpha kicks off, as you can see, at 9 a.m. PDT. And then it's obviously a knock-on hour for each one of the worlds up to we get to Epsilon, which finishes at 1 p.m. PDT, which is... Have the time clocks changed back in the States, or are we still a bit screwed up?
Yeah, they just did.
They just did. Excellent. Okay,
Yep.
so we're just +8 on top of that. So that's 9 p.m. then for ours. Okay, good. There's the mission overview. I'll let you read that off, basically, because it hasn't really changed. Bear in mind that these slides obviously will be available as a PDF for download after the show.
Yeah. I mean, this is all standard stuff now for...
Yeah, the linear motion stuff for obviously prize modules and that sort of stuff. It's the third event in the series and that sort of stuff of the 4 events. Okay. Next slide, mate. So what do we have on the tier 6 targets? This is the top target, the old S, the old elite, call it what you like, okay, but it's the tier 6. It's still the level 105 target. There should be no change. Okay, it should be exactly the same target as we had previously. So if you were doing reasonably well, okay, then with your subs, I know a lot of people had stacking issues and that sort of stuff, and we were blaming lag. In fact, we were blaming everything, I think, to be honest. But if you are having stacking issues, then you may want to look at a different route. But if you found stacking not to be a problem and you were content with the amount of damage you were getting, you should see no difference. But bear in mind, yeah, it's a very hard target, that sort of stuff. It may require multiple fleets, and for some people it did. Notice no retreat button. Next slide. So slight changes here then. So we've got tier 5, tier 6 obviously is non-cooperative, and tier 5 is also non-cooperative. So this is the classic old A set. Okay, it's the 3 targets, the 71, 73, and 75. Hellrace will do this set, okay, and so will the Tideseeker as well, the new Tideseeker hull as well. So you will be able to get through this set using either of those options. I know some people were using Tiger Sharks as well, but in generic terms, those are the 2 recommended hulls. So 3 targets, okay, complete all 3 targets and you'll get the the tier set bonus. Now, as we were discussing earlier on, the new target is coming out, which is the surface fleet target, which is obviously the target level 74. So it's a blitzing target, which is well. So we've got 2 good things there. A, we've got a blitzing capability now within the raid, and B, it will accept surface fleets, or you'll be able to get surface fleets to do this target. George, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm biased in terms of the points that I want to have pay out. I think it's going to depend on what the cost is for the blitz. I mean, it's great if you want to get through it real quick, or if you have, you got plans this weekend and you have the option, that's fantastic. But if it's 600K for 10 gold, yeah, it's a family show. I really don't want to say. If it's on the other hand like 2 gold and it's bringing it up to, like we usually want to try and hit about 1-to-1 ratio, 1 gold per million points or better. Especially if we're driving it like we did last time, we could do it for no damage at all. 2 would be kind of pushing it. That would be
Yeah, so I mean, look at the first one of the raid cycle. We blitzed the first one after a little while. We realised that was the right thing to do, and it was quite quick but quite expensive. Then last time, obviously, we were taking our time. The targets took quite a long time to kill off and that sort of stuff. But the gold for those that could do it, that is, wasn't too bad. This, I'm hoping, will be a happy medium between the two, and I think you're right. What the players will settle on, bear in mind it's not a huge payout, but it's a reasonable payout. So I think it's points for pounds, isn't it? Or for us in the UK, that's what we call it. But bang for buck, basically, is what we're looking for here.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think would be the crossover? Because I mean, at 2, it's still almost double what we want to shoot for, but at 3, I think 3 might be pushing it a little bit too far.
I don't know, Stu, you got a thought on this one, mate, haven't you? What do you think about this target, mate?
Well, as long as it's not 10 coins, like George said, I'm not paying 10 coins for 600,000 points. I think George is bang on the buck for 2 coins. I think you should pay to be lazy, I guess, is what the Blitz target is all about, isn't it? You're kind of paying to get something that's boring and long over and done with really, really quick, right? Or maybe you've not got enough time, like George said, so you've got other plans at the weekend, you need to finish quick.
So whilst
that
they
being said,
go on, mate, sorry.
I don't really want to, pay too much for that. I mean, what was it George said? Was it 1 coin per 1 million points? You found that to be acceptable?
That's generally what I want to shoot for, is a 1-to-1 ratio at max. I mean, that's like my max. I want to do better than that, obviously, but...
Yeah, I can agree with that, yeah. So, as George says, with the 2 coins, I think, maximum 2 coins I'd be happy with. Anything over than that, I probably wouldn't do it.
So long as this, for me, doesn't come in as a Christmas bonus target, and that's where they get their payoffs and all kicks you go home happy, on Christmas Eve. For me personally, I think this... I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if it was like a 102 payout costings. So the minimum charge is 3 coins, and then if you get limited damage, but that's dependent on the damage, isn't it? If it's a true surface target, you should not get anywhere near the damage you would do as you're hitting a 71, a 73, or a 75 with a surface, with the Tideseeker service fleet. That's what I'm saying. The Tideseeker, nothing else, but just the Tideseeker. That's what the fleet's all about. If you choose to use something else, then if you take more damage, then hell, that's up to you. Fine, no problem at all. But the designated fleet for this is the Tideseeker, and it shouldn't cost any more, really, great deal more anyway, to do it than you would do using subs in a standard 71, 73, but there will be a penalty for using the Blitz capability. I'm just hoping that penalty is not too much. I understand people like to press Blitz and that sort of stuff, and I know Kixie want to take advantage of us wanting to press Blitz, but unlike the 109, it shouldn't cost you that huge coin deficit, because that's just not right. If it's 10 coins and it's then going to cost you 100 coins just to get 6 million points, that's crazy figures.
Well, if it's going to cost 10 coins, then I want a lot more points for that 10 coins.
Well, the payout's already been decided, hasn't it? The payout has already been set.
Yeah,
it's just the number of coins for blitzing. That's the question, isn't it now? So, I don't know. I mean, Brian, what your thoughts, mate? And Andrew, in fact. Andrew's on tonight as well. So, guys, what are your thoughts about this particular target?
Well, if it's going to cost me, if it's going to make me get to the targets that I want for cheaper than what I have been doing, I'll probably end up doing it. Mm-hmm. So I think I spent about 300 to 400 coin last raid, hitting the 105s.
So we know that basically with ergonomics and a few people doing videos and that sort of stuff, we can get them down. Normally it's say the first one cost you 6 coin, you could probably get it down to 3 by the end of the raid sort of stuff. So if you were to get it down to 3 coins per shoot, would you be content with that?
Yeah, more likely.
Okay. Brian, I suppose for you, mate, it's all about fixed time, isn't it? Because if you're not coining that sort of stuff, it's about how much damage I'm going to take for this target, as opposed to, or are you thinking, I'll use my subs in the other targets, but I'll also use a Tideseeker in this target as well, just to auto?
Well, I don't even have Tideseekers built because I don't care. Like, I'm not going to build them for the event.
All right.
I don't even think I'm going to do this target, other than maybe to see, because we're all assuming, that the minimum cost would be low, and also that we would get a repair cost about similar to that in terms of time. Well, halved for raid, of course. 2 coins sounds about right. 3 coins sounds a bit much. I know they have to design this target entirely differently because it's completely outside and kind of supposed to be hit by other fleets. So hopefully they've tuned the damage down on that. I can't really say without seeing the repair cost, but two seems fine.
Yeah, I just not sure if that's what they're going to go with. I think it will cost more than that.
I think.
I really do. I think the initial cost will be, as Loretta just said in chat, something about 5 coins, and then on instantly, I think that's too much, and I think they'll have to readjust, because I do think if it's a fixed fee of 5 coins, but if it's a fixed fee including damage of 5 coins, it's still too much for me, and I'll use a different method. But for some individuals, I know that they were really struggling with some of the S targets, the tier 6 targets last time. So bear in mind, there's no bonus. There's no bonus prize. Whereas the tier 5, 1, 2, 3 get the top 71, 73, 75, you do get a tier bonus, but there's no bonus with this one.
Also, interesting note on this target: the payout is 600,000. We'll get to it later, but that's about as much as a whole B set. So there might be kind of like a level in player skill and capability range where you do better hitting the 74s and then doing something else than hitting a whole B set.
I think it's 62k less than a B set.
Yeah, okay. And it's 1 target versus 4, so take time.
We'll have a look. Okay. Next target. Next slide. Sorry. Yeah. So there we go. So that was clearly a non-cooperative. Whereas here we go, the tier 4 and the tier 3. These are cooperative targets. And whilst the tier 5 didn't have any penalty reduction, no matter what level you are for hitting them, these obviously do. So if you're a high-level player and you start hitting tier 4s, then you aren't going to benefit from the full payout as if a lower player is going to hit these targets. So just bear that in mind. So whilst, that surface fleet 74 is there and it's available. If you think, well, I'll do the tier 4 system, then you're not going to get the same amount of points. So just consider that as well. But tier 4 ideally says Tiger Sharks, that sort of stuff. Tideseeker should be viable in these targets, so you might want to consider how much damage you're going to get. But there are obviously 4 targets this time as opposed to 3. And the tier 3, as we all know, is the little baby target there, and it should be ideally for Nighthawks. But we also know that there are other targets. In fact, most of the sub-variants can actually take the tier 3 down. So you just got to be a bit smarter with your driving, that's all. Next slide. Okay, so targets and points, as it says then, as before, then there's a penalty. Well, there you go. So I'll just let people read that rather than read it out. I've got an interesting trigger finger. Normally I do the slides as well, and I keep trying to press forward the slides, and Andrew's got them. It's quite amusing. Or it's amusing me anyway. So cooperative players, it says there then. So just bear in mind then, first person goes into the target, that's the person that's going to come out with the win. They're not going to get the points necessarily, but they'll get the win. So if you just want to sit something in the corner and somebody else wants to come in and just annihilate it, if they're done, then a higher level player can do that. So that person can get that target win against their obviously their own fleet that they put in first, which means at the end of the tier then they get the bonus. Okay, look. So points versus payout. Okay, so there we go. The tier 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is quite reasonable. Just let you study that chart for a second. So is that slightly different compared to last time? 3.7 million for the tier 6? Or was that what it was last time? I can't remember.
Same as last time. There's no change.
Where there's no change then. Okay, so everybody must be able to settle on where they got to last time. They must be generally content. And like I say, it says there quite clearly at the bottom, then the Blitz tier 5 targets, the number 74 is worth 600k. So I suppose just to try it, won't you? Yep. The first person that comes in there and finds the automatic coin charge for the Blitz is too much, then it'll be all over forums quicker than anything else. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. I just want to mention too on tier 6, just remember there's those 3. If it's the same as last month, there are 3 targets that are worth extra points, and it's worth 600,000 points of that 1.8.
Yeah, very much so. No, I know a lot of people were going and then just doing that and then coming out sort of stuff, which is what doesn't bother me at all because I could take the rest of the target down, so it's not the end of the world to me. But I know a lot of people were just going in there and taking out those 3 lead ships and then just exiting, just letting it time out and exit. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. It's their game. So progress overview, as you can see there. as nothing's changed really, to be honest. You can track your completion progress in the events, module basically, right? And defeated targets will come up as a different color in the module yet again. Continuous targets. So if you wanted to hit like 671s in one row and then go on to the next levels, then obviously you'll be able to do those cumulative and keep those for the next round as well. So don't think you got to go looking for consecutive numbers all the time. You can stack up whatever you want to. Just got to keep an eye on your numbers of how many you've done. That's all, because sometimes people do more than they require.
And the hotkey for locator, the L key. If the down arrow is your best friend, the L key is your second best friend. Yeah,
very much so. And the ranging has changed now, hasn't it? It's not just what you can see, because that was a huge issue. When you were zoomed in, you couldn't really see the next target. But they said to have fixed that last raid. We'll see this raid.
Well, it's sort of fixed.
So if they haven't fixed it, the best thing to do is zoom out as much.
Yeah, hit the control button.
Set populate, and then screen back in, then you can use your locator.
Yeah, if people aren't sure about that, have your game so it's not maximized, so it doesn't cover your whole screen, then just hold down the control button and then zoom your mouse so you can see loads of the map. Then hit the L button, then zoom back in again, maximize your screen, and then hit the L button again, and then you'll get everything. You'll see all the targets that you saw when you were zoomed all the way out. So you can take it right down to 25%, can't you? So you can virtually see a whole sector if you do it that way. And
also, the bigger your screen, the better it is for zooming out.
Yeah, depends how much of a miser you are on playing on screens, yeah. But yes, you can, obviously. Anybody that's playing on a 51-inch plasma screen could probably see quite a lot. But that's certainly not me. Anyway, next. So there we go. The comical uranium payouts here. Okay, and so, yeah, sector threat will not be enabled, blah, 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 and that sort of stuff. Okay, however, you can get uranium, obviously, by hitting the Zoe's Mans of War. Okay, the typical... Yeah.
Just remember, everybody, Saturday. Don't start asking on Fridays again.
Well, Thursday night right through. It's not till Saturday. So, we know you get a day and a half. We've just got to hopefully have stacked up enough uranium before this event starts. So the payout is still a joke. I just really don't get why it's so low. But
I agree.
It's always been like this, and we say about it every time, but it's not going to change. So here we go, prize pool. So here we go, top prizes, as we said. It's quite different this time. So yes, we've got the Valiant, that's great, and we've got the Scattergun, and we've obviously got the Canisters there on the right hand side. So that's the latest and the newest stuff. Prize number 2, obviously, because it's Defender. Oh, we've got the Enforcer this time, and it's nice to see the Antipod back in, and a really good price. I like that. And Fusion Charger is also a good price. On the flip side from that, then on the left hand tier, obviously you've got a basic sub. Well, who'd have thought you'd call a Tiger Shark a basic sub, but there you go. And the Charon Torp's in there as well. And then obviously the Hellwraith is still its standard prize pack price, as is the Fire Twister Torp and the Sealed Fire Charge. You may want to consider whether that's worth having. If you've managed to survive so far without it, you may not consider that's a worthwhile investment now. So it's up to you.
I mean, the Tiger Shark is relatively old now. But what I can't stress enough. Grab that Antipode. Anybody that does not have the Antipode, grab it.
I'd say for most that's probably number 1 to get, because when was the last time that was available?
I think 900,000 points as well. That's a steal. That's an absolute bargain.
And I mean, while it might not be as game changing as it was when it first came out, it also is still a very versatile weapon that is used all the time. I mean, you see it in our builds all the time for stuff that we use it. You can't pass that up, not for 900,000.
Some people use it in the current FM system as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And we've seen all sorts of
space guards, myself included.
Yep, I've got some on my base guard as well. I like them. I think it's one of the best launches ever brought out.
Yeah, and up until they changed it to the 109, I mean, that's what I was using for my FM. So they're still viable in 102s.
So splitting the price back down into its 4 components then. So are we happy bottom right for the first 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
The value of the Enforcer still worthy, or do you think something else should go in there instead?
I would say for low levels that hasn't reached over 50, that's still valuable.
Yeah, it might not be as good now, but if you're not at the point where you can get to the top stuff, it's still pretty good.
And don't forget, you can still retrofit it as well.
Yeah, that, and it's also one of the good hulls that you can use to spot for, if you're a low level, it's a great spotter inside your base guard for mastodons or whatever.
That's true. It's got one of the best ranges, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and like we said, obviously bottom left flank. Obviously, we've got the Tiger Shot, the Chower, and the Stealth Attack System 4. I think that's reasonable, isn't it? For that price, that's quite decent. Looks what's it? 3.3 million, something like that, is it? Just over 3.35 mil. So, well, thereabouts. That's not bad at all. Okay,
It's 3 flat. Bottom part is 3 flat for either side.
All right. Okay. Well, that's reasonable, isn't it? And as ever, just in case something goes horribly wrong, at least start the raid, just in case that it goes all tits up and all of a sudden there's a fault with it, because you never know, you might get chucked 3 million points. It does happen. It's happened several times before.
That's why we just moved sector.
At least it's something.
Can buy entire quadrant. Can buy entire bot quadrant. Cannot buy Nuke XL. Sad day.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That should not be 4 million. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so here we go. So this is the unlocked store. Well, have a look at that and scan over what you think, guys, to be honest. I mean, for me, I like the price of the Harlock's Tideseeker. Considering what it's going to be able to do on the sea, I thought it would cost a bit more than that.
I think the Harlock Tideseeker is still at 20 million. I expected it to be about 50 million going off the Fasago's Punisher.
Well, that was my point as well. The Fasago's Punisher was quite expensive, which I have built, I have to say, and I've never found a use for it, to be honest.
Say the one.
Well, that's what I mean. This thing has way more use than that Fasago Punisher. It's at 20 million points,
I mean, who's going to be the most annoying person for the next 2 weeks once they've got that thing built and going around, and all those people that watch the show?
Me, of course.
Me included.
I'm coining it.
It's the first thing I'm going to do on Thursday night. I'm going to have this thing done Thursday night. I'll tell you that now already.
Stu's I was going to say, Stu's probably going to be ready and hunting on Thursday. I mean,
I will be.
I'm just saying.
I'm just going to build it blank, stick it a big speed engine on it, and then chuck it in with some Furies with lots of scatterguns.
I might relocate to George and just start sinking his subs.
Great.
Yeah. We've got to find Emery. That's what we've got to find.
Yeah, there you go. Emery first.
If someone has his calls, post them in chat now. I'll relocate them.
Yeah, Emery, you can think about stealing one of my targets. I'm going to come and flatten you with that thing, because that's the first thing I'm building on Thursday. So stand by. Come anywhere in my alliance, mate.
I'm going to hit that unlocked store real quick. I like the Obelisk. I like the cost. It's all right-ish. The nuclear accelerators are too expensive for what they are. They should probably be about half that. The Punisher,
it's
I love
overpriced.
that it's there. Yeah, it's overpriced. The Punisher, I love that it's there. I also think that is overpriced given the Tideseeker and how easy it was to get, because honestly, we're using that thing for tanks. And, man, the Tiger Shock that I've been using and testing and stuff does better than my Punisher tanks.
Yeah, I'd have said 5 million at the most, and if not, probably about 3 million. And the nuclear accelerator should be about 3 million as well.
Yeah, I'd say two or three for there. But yeah, the Punisher is way overpriced for what it is.
Yeah, I think that's far, far, far too much, and that's going to put so many people off. Well, that's a huge. If you need the Punisher, you wouldn't be able to. I don't think be able to get to that level of the prize pack.
Right.
Bearing in mind you want to do other things as well. Do you have a spare 12.5 million? If you do, I doubt you really need that hull, or you've already got it.
Also, the Styx Torp. The Styx Torp is 6 mil. I think that's a little much, considering. Didn't these targets have corrosive resist? Don't they still have like a good amount? Not like 95% stupid high, but like 40, 50, something like that.
What's the Karens in the top 3?
Yeah.
I believe they're either 900,000.
Yeah,
how much?
Yeah, then just get the Charons.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't worry about Styx. I don't worry about Styx.
I don't understand that at all.
I mean, I like the Styx for the turn speed bonus, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd just use an armor slot for turn speed if that comes to the price of that. If I was a low level, anyway.
Yeah. No, agreed. So there's some good stuff there. Concussive upgrade for 3 million. It's a bit excessive, isn't it?
Yeah, no one has room for that.
If you've got heavy plating 3, if you haven't got heavy plating 3, that's still quite a decent thing for assault ships to have. Especially if they're fast and you don't mind a little bit of a speed reduction. It's
base guard, your tank lead. That's really good.
It's good when you get it to R15 as well. It's got quite a good base.
That's great.
Yeah. So shipbuild tokens look about the same as previous 10.4.3. I don't see any difference there, do you?
Nope.
No, that's the same as last time.
Yeah, good. Okay, next slide, Andrew, mate. And here we are, the lock store. Okay, so Shards,
Oh my.
shards. So anybody that got some gammas last time, if you managed to get the 5 gammas, then there's the next 5, which means then you can build your gamma beam off, which is great. If you really think you need to charge out and go get yourself a ghost crawler, even though they can be seen now on the open sea, then there you go. There's some shards for that. Anybody that builds a man of war thinks an idiot. That was me included, because I've got one and I have no idea what to do with it. Okay. Hellstar shards, I'll be getting some of those this time because I just fancy building one just because they look funky. And the Proton Nems there as well, obviously. So nothing's changed on there. So, Stu, you want to talk about the top 2? The little specials we got coming up there?
I'll talk about the essay deflection upgrade. You have the stats on screen?
We'll come to
actually,
we'll just talk about those in a minute, mate. So we'll basically just say there are 2 specials. Okay, they're limited, obviously, as you can see, because they're in the lock store. One's obviously an armor plate, and the other one obviously is a deflection upgrade. We'll bring up the stats in a second because they're actually separate slides. Please note, though, this time, as opposed to last time, they're only available for the first 48 hours. So unlucky if you're actually working, if you're working hard and you do long hours on the Thursday and the Friday and that sort of stuff, because actually you don't get much time to get these items. Bear in mind they're in the lock store.
Yeah,
that's actually a benefit. The reason you might not know what these do yet, the D5SL and the SA deflection, is that the pictures aren't in the raid briefing with the rest of the pictures, and I have a slightly obvious theory as to why that is, but we'll get into that when we get to the actual prizes.
Yeah, well, we've got the pictures, which is good because I got them sent to me by GDR, so that was nice of him to do that.
And they're in the shipyard.
Yeah, you see, have a look in the shipyard. They're just blacked out, aren't they? So, but we got them. So just bear that in mind then, okay? Time-wise, 48 hours, or you're not going to get a chance to get them. So Andrew's done this chart, and I do appreciate everything's a bit small here and that sort of stuff, but it's a great old chart.
The originals are being posted on the group page.
Yeah. So it'll do this as a single slide or a single picture, so you can download it and look at it in zoomed-in version, but it'll also be within the PDF document, which I'll upload, obviously, once this show is finished. But there you go. Typical then, if you're hitting tier 3s and you want their Hell Wraith, that sort of stuff, my God, you're going to have a sore ass because look how much seat time you're going to have to hit to that many tier sets, okay? But obviously, if you're hitting, tier 6, it's just 4.1 or 4 and then go and hit something else a bit smaller, So, whatever prize you're looking for there, obviously corresponding tier will get you, the item there. Antipodes brilliantly. You look at that, even somebody that's only hitting tier 3, the antipode there is 7.5, so 8 sets of Cs will get you the tier 3 stuff will get you the antipode launcher, which I think is a brilliant prize, I have to say.
Can I point out something on this chart?
Yeah, of course you can, mate.
Because I don't know if we're going to cover this later or not, but the top 3 prizes, if you're actually looking at that blitz target, is going to be 50 targets. So you have to hit it 50 times. If it's 5 gold, like we're speculating, right?
250 coins.
250 coins. And given the exchange rate for you guys right now, which sucks, I think still.
It sucks, yeah.
Still sucks. I mean, I don't know if that's a really good price to set right now, currently. At 2 gold each, it comes out to 100 gold even to blitz through the top 3 prizes. So they're still, debating on the cost of it. That's actually a nice even amount right there for the top 3 prizes, because if you can do that target and blitz your way through it, that'd be great for 100 coin. For 250, I'm not so sure. So just for some perspective there.
Yeah. So just remember, obviously, I've just been asking chat there. James just mentioned it. Then, are we getting the Death Blast? Okay, so the Death Blast wasn't in the last raid either. It was only in the first one. Okay, so that's disappeared. One thing we did notice with the Tideseeker as well, if you haven't built it already, it benefited from more concussive protection than anything else. So yes. just bear that in mind. We did look at doing some D5X plates when we were doing the preview, and we found out actually they weren't as good as putting the concussive plates on instead. So I think we all settled for that, George, in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, because I actually had done I had done a split on it while you were doing the full 4, and I think you had better results than I did.
And for those that it's a bit late now, but some people will still be finishing off because the time limit hasn't run out on the High Tide campaign yet. But the other stat that we did check was obviously putting on the heavy plates, the concussive plates, as opposed to low concussive plates. As I said in the open mic, The actual fix time in the end was the same, to be honest. It was very, very similar. I wouldn't say it's the same, but it was very, very similar. So although you got more damage by using the lighter plates, the overall fix time ended up being the same, because obviously the heavier plates cost you more to fix. So it's a bit of a trade-off, really. Depends on which way you want to do it. So, okay, so there's a chart. Like I said, and Andrew will put that up as a separate posted item on the TFC page. Next. Okay, so badges and achievements then. So that's the new badge. I know a lot of people can't see it, but yeah, so GDR sent it to me. It looks like a dodgy hand gone wrong, doesn't it? It's like
No, you know what that is?
Go on.
That's your hand with arthritis after clicking so much playing this raid. That's what it is.
Yeah, and a carbuncle on the knuckle joint there for the thumb as well. Look at that. Look. So there we go. So the participation badge is down the bottom there. It's the same badge basically, just shrunken down. So you'll get one of those. And the badge that you can stick on your base is that dodgy hand coming out of whatever that is at the base.
That is Halloween.
It's what, mate?
Said it's George's hand.
It's George's hand, is it?
Yep. I'm trying to play on this laptop and clicking all the buttons, trying to stack my crap.
You're in the Ren mode, aren't you? Because Ren's a laptop man as well and that sort of stuff. And I just can't do it. I have to say, I laughed at the last raid. The last raid, I'll just say quickly because he's in the chat anyway. And my brother, bless him, he was like, I'll say bless him, he's older than me. All right, but basically, he's on a Mac laptop and he's like, I can't get these hell raids to stack. It's just not happening. I went, well, what sort of mouse you using? He went, I'm using my trackpad. I went, what?
Oh,
I mean, you're obviously a much better player than I am, mate, because I can't even do it with a mouse sometimes. I even do it with a trackpad.
Oh, that touchpad. There was a guy who played a professional League of Legends who he had a trackball, like you literally move the ball, kind of like the old arcade things.
Yeah, yeah.
And he would play with trackball, and he was one of the best in the European League. And everyone's like, what the crap is this? Why is he owning us with a trackball? Oh, God.
That's mental. That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the badge though. It's
Anyway,
great Halloween.
it's good. So here we go. So who was going to talk? Stu, you were talking about this, weren't you? So this is the limited components.
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about the deflection upgrade after having seen the stats on it. Obviously, it's built for assault, skirmisher, garrison, and siege. So you can use it for your tanks and the FM, all that rubbish. Armor weight plus 10%, tier 5. Assault deflection 20, siege deflection 20. So it's basically in line with the armors that you usually use, D5X, D5C, and D5M. The problem I find is that I don't see a special that I can replace on my current builds with this. I mean, if it had been a little bit higher assault and siege deflection, perhaps 50 on both, might be a bit more, worthwhile. But I think that the assault and siege deflection are too low and too little to make too much of a difference to a build. So I'm not sure where they're going with that special.
I've got a concern about the armor weight bonus plus. The armor weight cost of plus 10%. Isn't that the dangerous bracket that if you start adding armor weight to someone, they go overweight very quickly?
Oh yeah, because inherent armor points have a weight.
But that would be on the defender and the conqueror, I believe.
Yeah, so that's going to be a negative, isn't it? Because that's a bit like adding the some of the specials. You put it on, and all of a sudden you go, oh, I can't add that because instantly it puts me overweight. So we might be in the same category, the same zone again of wanting to put this on something, and then finally you can't actually add it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes.
The other thing is too is this is taking up a special slot, and like Stu said, man, the deflection is just not. It's not enough. It's not.
It's not. I mean, like I said, if it had been about 50 and 50, I'd consider it, but. As it stands, I don't see much of a use for it right now.
If it boosted assault deflection by 20%, it'd be on like a flash.
That would be really nice, yeah.
Ew. On like a flash. It'd be straight on there. If they put percentage at the end of that and not just 20, I'd be all over it. And I think it'd be brilliant.
And it's a beautiful and terrible concoction. This is utter flaming garbage. So one, it's 5 million points. The deflection upgrade, I'd say, is 5 million. I thought it was 500,000. Because I'm sane. Then it's in the lock store, so you've got to get the thing to get to the lock store. And the assault and siege deflection that it provides are the same as any D5 armor that you probably already have if you can get to the lock store to get to this. In Tier 5 of the Forsaken mission, you probably got those armors. Like, even on a 6, even if they're heralding 6 special hulls come next year, I wouldn't put this on a 6 special slot. What I would do instead is I would take one of the compound specials that we usually have and split it out into its base components so that I would get the additional benefits that I lose for combining the specials into one. Like, this is terrible. The reason these pictures probably aren't in the raid briefing is because it literally wasn't worth the time to post them, because that's how bad they are. Both of them.
Yeah. So, and as they're saying in chat, this only fits on certain classes of ships, okay?
That was awesome.
and then you've got the issue of, I mean, come on, it's a bit of a joke, isn't it? There are a lot of holes that are out there that are the PvE holes, which also have deflection bypass. So you're going to be using it for special as well, and it's going to be a joke because they have 100% deflection bypass. So you've just wasted, and all you've done is just added 10% to your armor weight. It's a really niche special. I just don't see the point of it personally, but anyway,
Not for
that's
20.
But it exists and it's a prize. So if you
it's a
want
prize, and it looks pretty, and people like just collecting prizes because they say they've got everything. Sometimes,
As for the other one, it's the other version to the last race.
Well, the other one was
a
stun
one, right?
The other one was stun 10%, and this one's now slow resistance 10%. But yet again, this
Not much
is
use.
a heavy beast, isn't it?
I think there's more use in this than with the stun, because you get slowed from the glacial and a few other things, and just random fields. So like, this is fine. They have a 0.8 repair efficiency on this, which was the same as the warplating when it last came out. So they didn't learn their lesson at all.
I mean, I'm just having an issue with the fact that it's limited components and limited hull classes, and I mean, yeah, I don't know why they're bothering with this.
Yeah, we didn't like it the first time, and we definitely don't like it the second time. But I mean, what can we say that's positive about both of these?
They're available.
The cherry on top of this pile is that they're only available for the first 48 hours. So if you want them, you have to rush really hard to go get them.
You got to blitz.
But it's not something I'm going to rush to go and get. That's the point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the D5SL armor kind of looks like a robot head.
Yeah, with no face.
Yeah, that's like a tiny Cyberman before the eyes are drilled in.
If that's your attempt at something positive on that blueprint, then they need to be really worried.
Wait, guys,
Okay.
I got it. So the deflection upgrade, I say, because it has that arrow, it's stackable. You can put 5 of these on your ship for 100 deflection if you want. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So that it's positive, we'll take it.
Somebody mute him.
Yeah, someone has to mute him.
Next slide. Okay, and here we have the stats then for the Valiant. Now, I know somebody posted up the comparative stats from the previous time to this one here.
That was George.
It was George, was it? Okay. So, but there's some really good differences here compared to what we saw in the preview. Some really important bits, they've reduced some of the stat ranges, the automatic boost ranges, and they had to for obvious reasons. And some of them have increased them as well. So I quite like the fact that ballistic range has stayed at 50%, mortar range at 10%, scattergun range has gone up to 20%. That makes it about a 102, I think it is, for the new scattergun range. That's a decent range now, as opposed to what it was. Missile range has been cut from 10 to 5% for obvious reasons, because obviously it make a ridiculous spotter. Because it was going to be something like 109 or something like that. I think the range was going to be for that.
106, I think.
It was crazy long. I can't remember what it was. Concussive range as well has been dropped down to 5% for the very same reason. Rocket reload range range has been kept at 25%, and the radioactive range has gone to 10%.
The first thing I notice that I like is the armor points being doubled.
Yeah.
They didn't mess around with any of the deflections, as far as I can tell, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like they've messed around with any of the deflections. They just
defense
doubled
stays
the
the
armor
same.
points.
Yeah,
which
defense
I
is
think
mirror.
is exactly what it needed.
Yeah. I think it's got some really good stats. I like the ranges that have been adjusted. I think that's fair for the game, and it's not making it. Otherwise, people will be dragging it behind Monarchs and that sort of stuff with the wake module, and they'll be using it for spotting, and it'll all just bugger the game up because you'll be like sniping at 6 tiles or something stupid. And
I do like as well that I'm given mortar range 10% twice.
Yay!
I have 10%
so
twice.
It does. Oh yes. Yeah, I just clocked that as well. I'm hoping that's just a copy and paste issue from us.
Yeah, I think.
No, that's not.
No, that is the actual blueprint on the thing.
Does it
Like,
actually say 10%?
It literally says that in the
Correct.
price.
But I think someone just put that in twice by accident. It's not.
Yeah, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
mind you, there's that multiplicative. So that's
fastest-
10% of the 10%, so it's 1%. You know, it's, I don't know. You know, but
the fastest I could get this thing to go before sticking it behind a Monarch was 3 point something for speed. So I don't know that, you know, given that 1 speed range, I would much rather have had a 0 speed and kept a little bit higher of a missile range, so it could at least spot and force people into the scatterguns.
So I think they put the combat speed to 1, so you're able to rank it through the VXPs.
yeah. No, look at this here. All right, then. So what else just said? Well, what the hell? Yeah, but what else? Okay, he's just said the same thing that I was confused about. Cold snap immune. It's got a combat speed of 1. Does it really matter? There's no ship-mounted cold snap yet, which is what the radio's just said. So, is something coming that can go on a ship in the future that's cold snap? Are we going into a cycle where we're going back to the old, you know, the frost raids?
Have
and
the
that sort of stuff?
special
Don't do
abilities on the side there, have any of them changed from the
No.
preview?
No.
No, I was going to say, because they, for some reason, they look more generous than they did before.
Yeah, I thought
I
the
went
damage
away
was like
and thought
15 or
about it.
something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I went away and thought about it or something, but I'm looking at it now, and it looks a lot more appealing than it did in the preview server.
Resonance trigger, yes. Resonance trigger, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys,
Yes,
guys.
bear that in mind. It wasn't on the preview, it wasn't- and we all mentioned it, and we put it in the comments when we finished the preview, and now it states it blatantly, clearly there that resonance trigger is yes. So just like things about your specials that interact nicely with the resonance trigger, and you're going to get some nice bonuses there as well. So now that I think that it's got 100k on the armor points, this is a very viable defender hull now.
Well, we have like a template build, didn't we, that we could show at
Yes,
the end?
yeah, we'll show at the end, yeah, because Jude's already had a little play at the moment. So good. So next slide, Andrew, please, mate. And here we are, Hardlock's Tideseeker, which is so overdue, okay, and it's going to bring things back in line, I think, for PvE play. I think it's going to be great fun Thursday night because I'm going to have a right laugh. You know, especially all those people that go around and start stealing targets or try to start stealing targets, because I'll be straight after them. So this is the very first thing I'm going to do Thursday evening is go and get this target, this hull, sorry, then I'm going to build it straight away. I don't care if it's 15 days, that's not the point. All right then, so I'm going to get this and we're going to go out. And what's nice, thermal range of 95, I like that. Sonar range, yeah, well, okay, it's 100. But the thermal range of 95, there's nothing at the moment that can obviously outrange that, no torpedo. So you will be able to see and hit everything before it gets a chance to hit you. So
Yeah, this has got to be one of the most anticipated hulls that they've released.
I did not see that thermal. That thermal is amazing.
it's great, isn't it? You know, so that's going to be a great, you know, there are plenty of people that don't like this, you know, people that have just got a ghost crawler, they won't like it and that sort of stuff. But then again, don't forget, you've got to actually select this hull and be driving it around to then go and hit, obviously, some submarines. But if those submarines are moving from left to right and not just sitting on the open sea, then you know, you still won't be able to hit them. You can't interact with something that's in motion. But if it's just sitting there or it's waiting outside someone's base ready to snipe them, that sort of stuff, then you can counter that. But clearly they can see you coming as well. So it does level the field, I think, a little bit. I think it puts a bit more gameplay back into the game. And whilst I do agree that Phantom subs are excellent things, I do agree Phantom subs are excellent things, especially in base hits and especially in PvE fighting once you're inside the fight. I never have particularly liked the fact that you can leave them out on the sea forever and a day and no one ever gets to see them, sort of stuff, you know.
So
I think
this
that balanced the game, I did personally.
this should have came out when the first Phantom sub came out.
Yeah, and it's really good, isn't it? You have to actually click on it for them to actually do its job, you know.
I've changed my mind about coining it. I've just seen the blank hole build time.
Yeah, I've just seen 15 days, but then again, I've just stacked up a load of days, and there's lots of days available in the raids as well, so I don't care. I'm just going to get it anyway.
The one sad thing I can see about this hull, well, I guess other than the build time, repair efficiency exactly 1, not the 0.8 they usually do. So sad, but other than that, this looks good. I like this.
Yeah, I do. I can see me using it an awful lot.
I like it a lot. I can't wait to use it, to be honest.
I think it'd be good fun.
The question I have now is because, you know, we had the full repair of the subs was a result of sniping, allegedly. Now that we can snipe back, are we going to get...
Can we rubber back to what it was?
Can you use zombie subs, or is it go down to like 50?
And
or
can you take the 400
25%?
multiplier off the Ghost Caller, please? No.
Well, that ain't gonna happen. That's still a capital.
Zombie subs. Zombie subs
Ghost
exist
Callers-
because they didn't want to do. They didn't want us to do something like this.
No, I get it, Brian. I
No
know.
free sub rates for zombie. But
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I know.
My
Especially-
Ghost Crawler is now staying in my base. I've won it finally with shards. I've been screaming about it for months, and now I've got it. It's never leaving my base.
So, any Alliance leaders out there that's listening to this, okay, please put some posts out on your Alliance pages and that sort of stuff. For God's sake, tell everybody to put their subs away. Otherwise, there will be so much crying, it won't be worth living. You know, it'll be awful because everyone's going to go around and get all their subs knocked out, definitely. And if you're already the 10% of people that actually that play the game, according to what was on the raid last time, and you're listening to the TFC, okay, or you're logged into the TFC, we'll even put a banner up for you before the raid starts to put your subs away. Because I don't want. And as soon as I see someone snipe my, all right, then we'll make a pact, guys. As soon as the first person posts someone snipe my subs, we're just going to delete it straight away. I'm not having any of that crap. You've been warned. It's been out there now for a few weeks. So don't even think about posting that on our page because it'll just go in seconds.
I'm just waiting to see the first post that's like, oh my god, this hacker saw my phantom lead.
Yeah.
Unless it's Imri. If Imri posts it, then I'm going to leave it and lock it just so I can laugh for a little bit.
You just pin it to the top. Like, see this? This is what you get.
Yeah.
That
So
post is going to come in 10 minutes into the raid. It's
Poor
going to be
guy.
great.
yeah. So there's good things there, obviously, because obviously you get stunned. Obviously, things like Ghost Callers, there's a stun resistance of 75%, which is good, isn't it? So, and that's a fleet effect as well, which is nice. You know, Cold Snap Immune, which is good as well. Not that you're really going to hit a base, but we don't know what's coming. Resonance Trigger is no. Bear that in mind. Okay, Resonance Trigger is no. Bonus combat speed, obviously, 25%. So these are going to zip along quite nicely, aren't they? Quite like them. Turn speed, obviously, 25% as well. So there's some good stats in there. You know, and obviously the overload effects as well and that sort of stuff. You know, combat speed plus 90%. I mean, that's pretty decent, isn't it? Which is what it's got in the normal Tideseeker anyway. So good hull. Good fun.
Yeah. It's going to be.
It's going to cause a lot of crying.
It is.
Excellent. So here we go then. So I love this. I love the name of this, the Calamity Scattergun. I don't know who the hell came up with that name or why, but I think it's funny. It just makes me smile. So the base range of it has stayed the same. It's at the 85. Okay, we know it can do a crazy amount of damage, and it can really inflict some nasty pain on quite a few of the attacking hulls as well that are coming into the bases. Because noting from the preview, like Furies and all, they really didn't like these at all. And now, obviously, the new base hull is going to have that boost of 20%. This makes this a very viable defense weapon, I think, personally. Guys, thoughts?
My OC
Was that 500 armor points there before? I don't remember seeing that.
I believe so, yes.
All right, never mind. Carry on.
Yeah, this looks unchanged. It was good then. It's still good. I like that the Valiant has the increased range buff for scatterguns so that this would actually be a little more viable. Whereas before you'd have to kind of trick them into running into 85, but now it's 102, so it's fine.
Yeah. That was my concern because obviously you're getting Gatling gunned at. Well, they were trying to Gatling gun, right? But Gatlings weren't doing anything, to be honest. So, but yeah, there are other things that obviously people are doing launchers, weren't they? That sort of stuff, and then getting the boom because it was. Yeah, go on, mate.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Hefe just said that the weight is actually down from the preview.
Is it now? Hang on, what did it say? That weight 300. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
350.
It's 350, wasn't it? It's 50 down, isn't it? Because remember I said in the preview, I was like, "Oh, we'll get a bit close here for the maximum weight now." I was a bit concerned about maximum weight builds when we were doing it. So
and there it is. And they actually increased the top rate, the top weight on the hull, I believe, if I remember correctly.
I have to go back and watch the preview again. I must admit, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure because I put a post up, and I think when I had compared them side by side, the max weight had gone up.
Okay.
Hull, so.
And bear in mind, guys, well, we can say it now. Good old Huggy, he's ahead of the game straight away. First thing he did was update, obviously, the ship builder. So he's already done it. Everything's in there already. I think one of the bonus stats he's still kept at 10%. It's not at 5%, which I think was a concussive bonus stat. Well, I'm sure he'll work on it. I know somebody picked it up and sent him a message and that stuff, because it's been reduced from 10% down to 5%. So just bear that in mind. And if you're using the concussive Gatling gun, bear in mind that you don't get retargeting. Just to remind people, you don't get retargeting off the secondary, which has got the longer range. So though it looks like the range is fantastic, you can go in sniping, you can't, because it won't retarget from the secondary, only from the primary effect. So whilst it looks like a fantastic range, it won't necessarily work that well if you're using it with Morts. Go on, mate.
Two things I want to add. It is the max weight on the hull actually went from 8,000 to 9,500. And one thing I want to clarify, because it seems a lot of people in chat are asking about this, the ability to see the sub is inherent to the hull. It's not, you don't have to build any stacks. You don't have to do it. It's when you are on the map with your Harlock Tideseeker, if you select the fleet that it is in, you will be able to see every Phantom sub on the map. The only way you can engage those subs is also with that same fleet. So you can't see them because you have that fleet out on the map, and you pick, a sub hunter. You can't do that. You
can't tag team either. You can't tag team. You can't say, oh, it's over there, go left a bit, go left a bit. You can't do that sort of stuff. You actually have to physically utilize that hull in the attack process.
Right. And you don't have to build any stacks. It's actually inherent in the sub. You don't. Once it's on the map, if you're if you have that hull selected, you're going to be able to see stuff. You don't have to do anything special. It's just part of the hull. I don't know. I think that the way that it's set up, people had a question about why you had to stack, and you don't have to stack anything. You don't have to do anything. It's inherent to the hull. It's native to the hull.
I think it'll come obvious within mighty fine time. It'll be obvious within a few hours.
We'll see Stu's videos Thursday evening.
I'm going to Imri hunting. That's what I'm doing. Next slide.
Everyone hunting. I'm dropping my alliance tag and hunting my own alliance. I'm joking. Rainer will kick me.
Yeah, she'll flat.
Rainer's gonna.
She'll take Lieutenant away from me.
So I don't see any difference on the corrosive canisters. I like it as a special. I think it's a very good special. I know a couple of people were going, "Oh, I could pop that on my Tiger Sharks," because the corrosive damage is great for scatters as well, and splash is really good. So, for those that have still got all your scatter guns on your Tiger Sharks, I think I might add this to mine actually. To be honest, I still do use them for that exact reason.
I'm tempted to build it just for that reason. That'd be a good little prep.
Wait till you use them. Yeah, they're pretty good against mega hulls too.
Yes, yeah, they are. I've heard quite a few people do that as well. So. And we just mentioned the dirty word there, but yeah. No.
Can't get through one show without mentioning it.
So mega hulls now,
Yeah.
Fuck this, I'm out. Rage quit.
Where's my book?
So I think there are Fury again, as what I was just said as well. I think this is a cracking little special. I like it. I think we can use it on various different things, and I think it's a great add to the game. I think it looks quite funky, that sort of stuff, and I think it's got some great... Splash 50% is amazing. I think that's great. Built in with a concussive damage of 25%. That's a win-win to me, an absolute win to win. But, weapon weight 14%. Just be cautious of that. So, but it is a great special. I think it's definitely worth the weapon weight just to have it. But I think it'll do really, really good. I think it's good. And I know people are already looking at certain weapons on the Tideseeker, maybe adding this as well. That sort of stuff. So there are lots of options going to be available, I think, after this raid, and some interesting builds should come from it. Okay,
yes.
What have we got next? I think we're getting there, aren't we? Last slide. Brian, take it away.
Fixed an issue where the Spite might move into range of targets in combat based on its random launch override weapon range, rather than the range of weapons equipped to the ship.
So does everybody get that then? Basically, so the random overlaunch was basically sometimes shorter or sometimes longer than the weapon that had been fitted to the ship. So it would go to the random overlaunch range, and it just sit there. And if you had something that was a longer range than that, then it would never flipping well actually go and hit the target. Ren picked that up and he sent that in as well, as did a few other people as well. I'm glad that's been fixed, so that's good.
Fixed an issue in which deflection could prevent minimum damage from being applied to the Harlock's Revenge.
Can't imagine why people were annoyed with that one. So that's been asked for a little while. Okay, and basically, so the Harlock Revenge came out, and basically it wasn't taking any minimum damage. So And we all know that every hull has got to take minimum damage of some description from each of the fire types that obviously hit it. So that's now been added back in. So hopefully the point and click at the back of the base is not quite as severe as it has been in the past.
The interesting thing, even with that bug, apparently the win rate was about 50% and therefore healthy enough to not warrant a nerf. And that was with this dumb bug. So
so should have brought them back in line, I think, to be honest, with the remainder. I mean, they were very weak. I have to say, this hull was needed, absolutely needed. The Harlock's Revenge was definitely needed and that sort of stuff, because it brought unfortunately, the very weakest of the obviously the attack ships back into line with the remainder of the attack ships, and then obviously you can utilize them in a mixed fleet. Although this takes up obviously the lead slot, it still means you can put a mixed fleet in behind, so you can battle against various different bases. But yeah, just had a little bit of a bug which has been ironed out. So enjoyed it while it happened, but it's a goner now.
I want to actually, with that first one, I just want to mention, in some of the testing that I was doing when I was doing the Tideseeker tanks and the FM, it is stopping on occasion short of range. The hull or what, but I asked around, there's been a couple other people that have noticed it that have been testing Tideseekers as tanks. So if you guys are planning out or using Tideseekers as a tank in the 109s, just be aware, pay attention where it stops, because sometimes it will stop short.
Oh, okay.
So
good point.
Yeah, I have a video of it, and I still have to render it and send it up, but it'll get there.
Okay. Oh, I haven't noticed that, I must admit. I'm just trying to read a comment the Raiders posted up there. Does anybody notice the crazy shift right click that let you kill things from across the map?
Yes, a lot of people are noticing that. The first video I saw of that was in the 91 mega hull attack thingy for Titanium. If you are actually, if you're attacking something and you're shooting, I'm not sure if it's only missiles or not. I've only seen it with missiles so far. But if you're shooting at something and you shift and right click at something across the screen, you will attack that from wherever you are. It's a bad glitch. I've been seeing a couple people try to use it in base hits. It is not cool.
Ooh.
Really quickly.
Oh, the reality is it's fixed anyway. So if you didn't get to see it, you're not going to get to see it, basically.
Yay! All right, I'm exceptionally happy that that's fixed then, because there were people screaming in comms about that. And
I didn't get to see that. I must have a look for some videos then, because
there's a video. I think someone actually posted on the forums about one of the 91 hits.
Okay.
That was horrible. I don't know what it was, but I hope they don't ever repeat that thing.
All right. How long's that been going? Because I'm having a busy week this week. I've been.
That bug you're talking about is nothing compared to the bug that's happening right now.
Which one?
Well, the one that gives unlimited range to your base hitting hull.
That's
like if you use a Rhino or something. Is that what you're talking about? I thought you were talking about the Tideseeker.
No.
I'm going back to sleep.
All right, Stu.
It's fixed. Go back to sleep.
Is it fixed?
Yes. That's what we were talking about, mate.
Yeah.
Don't blame me.
So it's fixed.
Playing Battlefield 1 for too long, my brain's frazzled. All right.
Oh, okay, mate. Yeah.
So mega hulls, right?
So Golden Nexus, surprise! Golden
Oh
Nexus.
yes. So that's the good news for this week, and it's not been mentioned that Golden Nexus is fixed and it's actually in game. I've seen a little icon.
It's a lot of these statements need further review about fixed and is working.
Yes. Well, let's just say it's in game, and the little icon's up on the top left hand side of your screen, because I saw it there today. I went, "What's that?" And it said Golden Nexus. So at least it's in game. That's something.
There do exist golden nexi in game.
There do exist, yes.
Yeah, there. I don't have now. What I am curious about having, if it's fixed, is that people were going in and just like we had discussed before, last minute try and take over the Nexus. They could not link to the Nexus, even though all the mega hulls around it were dead. Nobody could link to the Nexus.
Are you talking about the lock timer or the dead ones? Oh, the dead one's holding. Like the dead ships are actually still on the Nexus and they're holding it.
Yeah, I think they were still holding it dead.
So what I was saying, is it fixed or is it rigged?
It's a 5-hour time limit.
I'm not sure.
Because I read on the forums, like if you engage a mega hole, there's like a 5-minute lock timer where you can't link to it. And if you attack another thing in, that's 2 more minutes for every one you hit. So 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, et cetera, et cetera. But
so that's like 30 seconds around that nexus. You're not getting onto it for the next hour or two. Then,
wow.
That's ridiculous.
And again, what you just mentioned about even if there's no time on the lock timer, apparently there were photos and instances of dead holes still holding the nexus and thus creating gold rewards when they shouldn't be able to because they're dead.
So there's a good question just come in. So Thomas just said, basically, does anybody know what the tier point reduction percentage is based on your base level in the raid? So if you're going to hit a tier 4 and you're, say, a level 100, what's the point reduction you're going to receive?
Yeah. Can I give him a shout out too, by the way?
Go on, yeah, of course you can.
Can I? Because he had a fantastic spreadsheet that you can use on Google.
It was Thomas's spreadsheet, was it?
Yes.
No, it was a good one. Yeah, it was really good, I have to say.
Yes. Fantastic.
We need to speak to him and see if he doesn't mind us putting that up on the website as well, actually. But it's very good. I have to say, I scanned it myself.
Yeah, it's kick-ass. It's I think he's asking because there was a question on our page about what the reduction was, and I was like, you can make a sell to do this, this, and this. And unfortunately, I don't know what the numbers are for the reduction. I would have to see what the total reduction is for the set.
Radio might know, I have to say. We might have to chat to him.
I think last time it was you get 10% of kill points if you hit tier 3 and 30% of kill points if you hit tier 4 and you're above the level. So 90% reduction for 3 and a 70% reduction for 4. But I couldn't find any numbers when I was scanning the briefing, and I don't know if that's changed. So
yeah, that's the issue. I mean, because obviously in the raid when we were told when it first came out, the first iteration, we were told dead simple, you're going to get a 60% or 75% reduction if you hit a tier 5 target. It'd be nice to put in the raid briefing, if you're over a level 70, you're going to get a 50% reduction if you hit tier 4. And if you hit tier 3, you're going to get 75% reduction. I think you need to get like 90%, isn't it, or something like that, if you hit tier 3s. Or you don't get anything at all, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they said there's a penalty for hitting outside the level band, but because they stopped putting them as, like, necessarily 70s, and even then, they're tying it to weird levels, like the A penalty was 85 and over, but the target stopped at 75. So we really need to know those level bands and penalties, you guys. Like,
yeah, it is needed, because it gives some clear direction, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
be able to, if we don't get an answer tonight from somebody that knows, maybe we can send an email or something to get it and pass it on to Thomas.
Yeah, that'd be quite handy, because it would help them for that chart, which is a great chart, I have to say. For those that are mongs at maths, it makes it life a lot easier. And I'm including myself in that one there, because I hate adding things up. That's why I was sitting with my calculator here next to me. It makes it easier. I used to write down a bit of paper, but I've progressed to a digital calculator. Brian just does it in his head. I know he does, but that's just not me. Okay, gents. Anything else you want to talk about tonight, apart from the election tomorrow? But,
go vote. The polls are probably still open in a lot of places. I haven't checked, but do get out there, go vote. If you are in line when the polls close, they still have to let you vote, according to XKCD, which is a webcomic, but I believe that man has done his research. He's a very smart man. It's weird. The Golden Nexus rollout is really weird because they kept mentioning, there's different kinds of nodes. But when I read up, it was like at hour 1, you get the 2 gold payout, and then at hour 2, it jumps to the 4 gold. And then at hour 12, it would jump to like the 18 gold.
Yeah.
It's not like they mentioned. It was so it was so weird. It just that could have been done a lot clearer and a lot better instead of just chucking it at us right before the raid, no less.
Mm-hmm. I know. Interesting. So I thought it might come the week after the raid, but obviously not. So there we go. Right, we're done, gents. We've just passed the hour. We're going to disappear. Okay, we're going to say get out and vote if you're in the States, because if you haven't, don't come whinging tomorrow when the wrong nutter gets in. Okay, because you've only got two options. I don't like. Do you think Brexit's bad over here? You've got a whole pile of hate coming your side. Okay. Good luck, everybody. Okay, in the raid. I hope it all goes well for you and that sort of stuff. Stand by Thursday night for those Harlock Tideseekers to go cutting around the place and sniping everybody that deserves to be sniped or that's forgotten maybe to put some stuff away.
Can we call it the Subocalypse?
The Apocalypse raid, maybe we should call that.
No, the Subocalypse.
Subocalypse, yeah, maybe we could, mate. It's a good one.
Yeah.
But good luck all. I hope it goes well. I hope they don't do anything stupid. Please don't make the cost of that blitz target too expensive. That's a plea from us, because that will just go into meltdown. If not, what will be the point? People have built these holes. You've given them the holes, that sort of stuff. Let them do it at a reasonable cost. That's all I can say. And we all know the unwritten rule about points fee prizes and stuff. So good luck all.
Let them spend money. Let them spend their money, please.
At a reasonable rate. So we'll chat to you Saturday nights on the open mic. Some new faces would be nice, particularly people that have not had a chance to speak before. And if some of us admins have to drop out because extra people want to come in, then of course we'll do it. Thanks very much. I'll just say lastly, if you wouldn't mind then, thanks to Thomas for letting us post up his spreadsheet on the TFC website. That will go up. I'm sure Andrew will get that squared away. For those that obviously just want to go straight onto the web and not actually onto Facebook, they'll be able to download it. So I'll say good night. Good night all, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Guys.
Bye, everybody.